They say you never really know who's watching. For Monique Harris, a single mother of 7, it was just another evening. Spaghetti boiling over, mismatched socks scattered across the floor, and a chorus of giggles and sibling squabbles bouncing off the cracked walls of her 2-bedroom apartment. She didn't know her youngest had propped a phone up on the bookshelf. She didn't know that one accidental livestream would capture her calming chaos with such raw beauty. And she certainly didn't know that the world, millions of strangers, would watch her juggle bottles, math flashcards, and bedtime kisses, and call it extraordinary. But they did. And by morning, her life would never be the same. Most people wouldn't last a day in Monique's shoes, and she'd be the last one to ask them to. She woke before the sun, always to the same quiet. No husband beside her, no family coming to help. Just her and 7 growing children, each with their own needs, their own fire, their own hunger. She counted every diaper, rationed each ounce of milk, and memorized bus schedules like sacred texts. Still, she smiled. Not the kind of smile for the world to see, but the kind that told her children, "You are safe, you are loved, and no matter how hard it gets, Mama's not going anywhere." Monique's days unfolded with a kind of rhythm most wouldn't recognize as grace. There were no breaks, no pauses, just a symphony of need. 7 little voices calling Mama in overlapping tones, each one tugging at a different piece of her. Mornings began before dawn, not with coffee or stillness, but with diapers, cereal, and the delicate art of dressing 5 toddlers while calming 2 infants. She tied tiny shoelaces with one hand and held a feverish forehead with the other. No one came to help. No one offered to. And yet, she moved through it all with a quiet determination that didn't ask for praise. She spoke to her children with the kind of respect the world hadn't often shown her. Say thank you. Say please. Look them in the eye. Her voice was patient but firm. When one child melted down, she didn't scold. She crouched low, made eye contact, and helped them name their feelings. It wasn't perfect. Some days she yelled, some nights she cried. But love for Monique wasn't soft or poetic. It was daily, gritty, exhausting work. Her living room doubled as a classroom, her kitchen a science lab, her lap a refuge. In a world that had left her behind, she was building one from scratch for them. It started like any other morning. Cereal crunching beneath tiny fingers, a spilled cup of milk soaking through an unpaid bill, and Monique, barefoot, rocking a sleepy baby with her hip while wiping syrup off the wall with the back of her sleeve. But something was off. Her phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Not the occasional ding of a message or calendar reminder, but a relentless avalanche of notifications, chimes, pings, and beeps like a choir gone mad. She frowned, swiped up, and stared. A live stream. Last night, her living room, 26 million views. For a long moment, she didn't breathe. Then, slowly, she scrolled. The video was grainy, unpolished. Just her, moving through her nightly routine. Cooking, bathing, comforting, teaching. No makeup, no edits. No filters, but the comments poured in like rain on parched earth. God bless this mother. She's doing the Lord's work. I cried watching her rock that baby and teach multiplication at the same time. I'm struggling with postpartum depression. Watching this reminded me what strength looks like. I never saw motherhood like this. She's raising warriors. Monique's hand trembled. Her baby whimpered against her shoulder, and she instinctively rocked side to side. One of the toddlers tugged at her shirt. "Mama, why are your eyes shiny?" She didn't answer. She couldn't. Her chest swelled, not with pride, but with something quieter, something that felt like being seen. For years, she'd whispered strength into her children, into herself. Now strangers whispered it back. Emails flooded in, news outlets, parenting blogs. A woman from Vermont offered to send diapers. A single dad from Chicago said he watched her video with his teenage daughters and cried. The world, which had ignored her for so long, had turned its face toward her, not out of pity, but reverence. Still, Monique didn't post a follow-up. Not that day. Not the next. She folded laundry. She baked cornbread. She braided hair and listened to spelling drills. She told the children nothing had changed, and in many ways it hadn't. There was still more month than money. The heat still went out at night, but she felt it now, a shift. Somewhere, somehow, the world had pressed its ear to her door, and it had heard something worth listening to. The decision came quietly, like most of hers did, not in a dramatic moment, not with fireworks, but in the stillness after putting 7 little souls to bed. The apartment had finally gone still. Toy cars lined the windowsill. A forgotten sock curled beneath the couch like a question mark. Monique sat alone at the kitchen table, the phone in her hand glowing with 1,000 messages she hadn't answered. Her thumb hovered over the camera icon for a long time before she pressed it. She didn't plan a script. She didn't rehearse. She simply set the phone against a stack of books and pressed record. "Hi," she said, her voice soft but steady. "My name is Monique Harris. I'm a mother of 7, all mine, all born on the same day. That part still shocks me too." She smiled then, not a smile for attention, but a private one, like she was sharing a secret. "I didn't mean to go viral. I didn't even know we were being recorded. But I've read your comments. I've seen your kindness. And if watching a tired woman cook spaghetti and teach the alphabet helped you feel less alone, then maybe I should keep going." She paused and glanced toward the hallway as if listening for the creak of tiny footsteps. "I won't pretend it's easy," she said. "I don't have a nanny. I don't have a partner. Some nights I eat dinner standing up, and some mornings I cry brushing my teeth. But I love my kids. Fiercely. And I believe with everything in me that love, real, consistent love, can raise extraordinary people." The video ended there. No outro, no call to like, share, or subscribe. Just honesty. The next morning, she posted a clip of herself teaching her kids how to fold laundry by turning it into a song. Then another, of them reading library books on the floor while eating apples. She filmed on her phone, in portrait mode, with no filters, no edits, no polish. Just real life. And the world responded. Again. But for Monique, it wasn't about the views anymore. It was about connection. About creating a space where struggling mothers could see themselves not as failures, but as fighters. About showing that chaos could still hold grace, and exhaustion could still carry wisdom. For the first time in her life, her voice wasn't just echoing inside 4 walls. It was being heard. And that in itself was reason enough to keep speaking. By the end of the 2nd week, the inbox was no longer manageable. Monique had no media training, no team, no fancy ring light or publicist. Yet somehow, major parenting channels, national morning shows, and health nonprofits were all reaching out to her. The mother of 7 who taught the world how to love. One headline read. Another, Strength in Chaos. One mom's viral blueprint for raising children alone. She read those titles with a detached kind of awe, like they were written about someone else. Because in her mind, she was still just a woman reheating leftovers and stretching diaper packs until payday. One morning, a delivery truck pulled up with 3 cases of children's vitamins and a note. For the mom who made me believe again. Companies were offering her brand deals for baby wipes, meal kits, early learning tools. One even sent her a box of matching pajamas for all 7 kids. The kids squealed and danced in them like they'd won the lottery. And in a way, they had. Still, Monique was careful. She didn't let the attention dictate her values. When a company wanted to send expensive toys for a promotional shoot, she declined. "My kids don't need more stuff," she said in a short, polite video. "They need more time, more laughter, and more room to grow." The comment section exploded with respect. Her channel wasn't just about parenting hacks or funny moments. It became a place where vulnerability met resilience. She talked about budgeting with food stamps, about navigating pediatric visits with 7 sets of medical records, about how isolating it was to be a black single mother in a system that rarely offered help, but often passed judgment. In one now famous clip, Monique sat cross-legged on the living room floor, hair wrapped, eyes tired, and said, "People ask me how I do it all. Truth is, I don't. Some nights I fail. But my kids don't need a perfect mom. They need a present one." That video hit a nerve. Mothers messaged her in tears. Fathers apologized to their ex-wives. A postpartum support group started streaming her videos before meetings. It was no longer just a channel, it was a movement. And yet, despite the growing fame, Monique kept her world grounded. She still cooked beans and rice, still borrowed books from the library, still made each child feel like the most important person in the world. Because while the world might have called her a star, she only ever wanted to be one thing: a good mother. And to her, that meant showing up every day with honesty, with grace, and with an unshakable love that didn't ask to be seen, but now finally was. The knock came just after breakfast. Not loud, not frantic. Just 3 quiet taps, like hesitation wrapped in wood. Monique was wiping oatmeal off the baby's chin when she heard it. She didn't rush. Didn't flinch. She glanced toward the front door, then back at her children. "Finish your juice," she said softly, setting the baby down with practiced care. She walked to the door and opened it. There he was. The man she hadn't seen in nearly 8 years. The man who once promised the world and disappeared before sunrise. Dark slacks. Pressed button down. A hint of cologne she hadn't smelled since her own hope was young. He looked thinner, older, but not worn, not like her. Life had not carved him the way it had carved her. He stood with his hands loosely in his pockets, eyes searching hers. "Monique," he said, a little too softly. "Hey." She didn't answer at first. Just looked at him, her face unreadable. A child's voice called from the kitchen. "Mama, he looks like the boy in my storybook." She didn't smile. "You should go," she said evenly. "I saw the video," he replied. "The live stream, and then the interviews. I didn't know." "Monique, 7. She didn't blink. "You knew enough to leave before you could find out." He sighed, shifting his weight. "I made mistakes." "Mistake is forgetting to set the alarm," she said. "You left me pregnant, no goodbye, no help, and now you show up because I'm on YouTube?" His face tightened. "I'm not here because you're famous." "No?" She raised an eyebrow. "Then why now?" "Why, after all this time?" "Because I saw them," he said, voice cracking. "And I saw myself in their faces. And I realized, whatever I was back then, whatever fear I had, I don't want to be a stranger to my own children." A long pause passed between them. The kind that holds entire winters inside it. "I don't hate you," she said at last. "I don't have room for that. Not with 7 mouths to feed, 7 souls to raise." He nodded slowly. Can I meet them? She studied him. Not his clothes, not his stance, but the quiet in his eyes. It wasn't enough. But it wasn't nothing. They know they have a father, she said. But they also know what silence sounds like. You don't get to walk in and call yourself daddy. Not here. I understand, he said. I don't expect anything. I want to be part of their lives, however you'll allow. She folded her arms. Then you'll start by listening. No gifts, no promises, just presence. He nodded, eyes glistening. From behind her, a pair of small arms wrapped around her leg. Malia looked up, blinking. Who is he? Monique didn't look down. Her eyes stayed on the man. Someone who might be trying to grow up, just like the rest of us. The man knelt slowly, eye level with the child. He didn't speak. He just waved, small, respectful. And for the first time in years, Monique didn't close the door. She left it open, just wide enough for effort to walk through. They met in the park 2 days later. Neutral ground. A wide space where children's laughter masked tension, and the wind could carry away hard words before they landed too heavy. Monique arrived early, as she always did, with a double stroller and a backpack packed like a tactical kit. Wipes, snacks, water bottles, books, and band-aids. She picked a bench near the playground, but not too close, where the kids could run, but still hear her voice. He arrived on time. That alone surprised her. He wore a hoodie this time, no cologne, no attempt at performance. He waved gently at the kids, who didn't wave back. Not yet. They sat in silence for a minute. He broke it first. They're beautiful. They're not just beautiful, Monique replied. They're kind. Curious, stubborn. Malia can spell Mississippi backwards. Eli sings lullabies to his siblings before nap. And Jaden, you know, the one you named but never met. He has your laugh. He uses it better than you ever did. He exhaled slowly, nodding. I know I messed up, he said. I was scared. I felt like I wasn't ready to be a father. And when the news came, I panicked. Monique turned to him, her voice calm but unshakable. No one is ready, but I didn't get to panic and disappear. I had to figure it out with swollen feet, 1 meal a day, and no one to call when they all got the flu at the same time. You didn't just leave me, you left them, before they even knew they existed. I don't want to excuse it, he said. But I want to change it. If I could go back, you can't, she cut in. But you can start here. He nodded again. I want to. Even if I'm just someone who shows up to birthday parties and field trips. Even if I'm just the guy who helps fix bikes or reads bedtime stories over FaceTime. I want to be consistent. She studied him, long and hard. Not searching for perfection, just sincerity. I'm not looking for redemption, she said. I'm protecting peace. This home I've built, it runs on stability, not grand gestures. If you want in, you'll walk, not run. You'll earn their trust with presence, not speeches. I can do that, he said. I want to do that. Then we start with boundaries, she said firmly. You won't be on camera. Not yet. You won't show up with gifts or expectations. And you'll follow my lead when it comes to what they know and when. Of course, he said. She leaned forward slightly. And if you ever disappear again, I won't explain it. I'll just erase it. Because they deserve people who stay, not shadows. He looked down. I understand. A few feet away, Malia tripped and fell, scraping her knee. Monique was up in a flash, calm as always. As she knelt and kissed the wound, he watched her, not just as the mother of his children, but as the woman he had once underestimated and now could never catch up to. She didn't look at him as she spoke to Malia, wiping the tears and checking for grit. But she said, quietly enough for him to hear, "This is what showing up looks like. Let's see if you're really ready to learn." It began slowly, almost imperceptibly, like the way seasons change, not with fanfare, but with subtle shifts. At first, he came by once a week, always on time, always respectful. He stayed on the sidelines, sitting cross-legged on the living room floor as the kids played. He didn't bring gifts, he brought presents. And Monique watched, arms folded, always a few steps away, measuring his consistency more than his charm. The children were curious. They asked questions she had long prepared to answer. "Is he our daddy?" "He's someone who helped bring you into this world," she told them. "Now he's here to see if he can be someone worth keeping in it." Jaden, ever the bold one, was the first to accept him. He handed the man a toy car and said, "You can fix the wheel if you want." It wasn't forgiveness, but it was an opening. Over time, small things shifted. He learned their names, not just the ones on paper, but the ones they gave each other. He learned which twin hated green beans and who needed a nightlight. He helped with homework, quietly corrected spelling, and tied tiny shoes without being asked. Monique remained firm. He didn't sleep over. Didn't show up unannounced. She made the rules, and he followed them, not out of fear, but out of understanding that this wasn't his home to reclaim. It was a space built from her survival, and now protected by her dignity. Then came the first public moment. A video clip, meant to capture a simple family game night, accidentally caught him in the corner of the frame. He was laughing, genuinely, while holding a baby who had fallen asleep in his lap. The comments came fast. "Wait, is that their dad? Why is he back now? He doesn't deserve them. People can change. At least he's trying." The internet did what it always does. It split down the middle. Monique didn't respond. She didn't explain. But she posted a new video the next day, addressing no one and everyone at once. Sometimes people return not to be heroes, but to be better than they were. "I don't measure growth by applause. I measure it by consistency, and I'm watching." It wasn't an endorsement. It was a boundary. And her audience, millions strong now, listened, reflected, and many nodded in silence. Because sometimes the bravest thing a woman can do isn't slamming the door. It's leaving it open just wide enough to test the truth. 6 months passed like wind through open windows. Quiet, constant, full of motion. Monique no longer lived in the cramped apartment where laughter fought for space with exhaustion. With the modest income from YouTube, sponsorships she carefully vetted, and speaking engagements she only accepted on her terms, she found a home that didn't just shelter her children, it held them. The new house wasn't grand. No marble floors, no manicured lawns. But it had 4 bedrooms, a fenced backyard, and sunlight that pooled on the kitchen table each morning like a promise. There was room now for silence, for breath, for dance parties that didn't end with knocking over a lamp. They bought a van, one with enough seatbelts and space for all 7 kids, their backpacks, and their wildest imaginations. A neighbor taught her how to check the oil. Another dropped off vegetables from their garden. For the first time in years, Monique didn't just survive. She belonged. She hired a part-time teacher to help with lessons and give each child a slice of one-on-one time. Jaden built a cardboard city in the garage. Malia started writing a book. They grew into themselves, and she grew with them. Every evening, she read aloud on the porch, all 7 crowded around her like orbiting stars. And sometimes, when they had all drifted to sleep, she sat in the quiet and whispered, "We made it." not out of pride, but out of awe. The invitation came folded in thick ivory paper, sealed with gold foil. It wasn't a brand deal or another media request. It was something else, something that made Monique pause when she opened it. She'd been asked to speak at the National Parenting Resilience Summit keynote slot. Primetime. Not because of fame, not because of numbers, but because her story, her life, had become a symbol of what it meant to rise without bitterness, to lead without noise. She stood on that stage weeks later in a navy blue dress she'd borrowed from a friend. No glam squad, no teleprompter, just her voice, steady and warm. "I've been asked if I've forgiven the man who left," she said, pausing as the room quieted. "The answer is no. Forgiveness is a gift. I chose something different. I chose protection. I chose peace. But I also chose to give my children their father, because they deserve to know where they come from, even if it's complicated." Murmurs swept through the audience, some nods, some furrowed brows, but no one looked away. "My children were not born into a perfect home," she continued. "They were born into truth, into effort, into a love that shows up every single day. And if that's not enough for the world, it's still more than enough for them." After the event, people waited in line to thank her. Mothers, fathers, even adult children who had never seen their own parents as people before. She didn't stay long. She had a bedtime to make. That night, she came home to a kitchen lit by soft lamps and the quiet hum of little voices brushing teeth and picking bedtime stories. Her youngest, hair wet from a late bath, climbed onto her lap with a yawn. "Mama," she whispered, "were you on TV again?" Monique smiled, resting her cheek against the girl's curls. "A little bit." "Did they clap for you?" "They did," she said, "but I came home for this." Later, she stepped outside onto the back porch. The house was quiet. The sky above was deep and endless, and for the first time in her life, she didn't feel like she was reaching toward something. She was inside it. Love, purpose, and the kind of peace you don't win by accident. She had not built a perfect life, but she had built a whole one. And it was enough, more than enough.